Namaskar. Very good afternoon. Dear learners, I, Dr. Renu Tomar, shall be talking about relevance of Indian thinkers on education. It is part 2 of the lecture which we have been talking about. So friends, as you know that in the previous lecture we talked about that how the Indianization has come into being. We also talk about that what were the aims and functions of education. We also talked about the pedagogical practices in the classroom and how it is impacted by the thinking of the teachers as well as the socio-cultural element of the teacher. We also talked about that how the Indian education system is different from the Western education system, and thereby we also try to understand that why Indianization was seen as something very important. We also talk about Indian Renaissance in the education system. And along with that, in our previous lecture, we were also concerned about how philosophy of education is to be seen and how it is taken by different educationists or different philosophers. So friends, from there on we were trying to, after having discussed what are the aims and functions of pedagogy as well as after having discussed the pedagogical practices and its impact on the education system. So from there on we had come down to discuss that what are the how the aptitude or attitude of the teacher has an impact, or how the value and qualities of the teachers have an impact on the education system. And we also ended up, the previous lecture was ended up as to discuss that what are the values and qualities which are needed in a teacher. Just to discuss those things, first value which is generally seen as a teacher should be having, which is enthusiasm. Why enthusiasm? Because enthusiasm will make it important. Enthusiasm will bring the teacher to the level of the student, because we have to understand that the students who are being taught by the teacher, they are usually very young. So the age group differs from 3 to 25. So, and the teacher who is more of that age, she or he has to come down to their age. So, the teacher should be enthusiastic about the learning, the teacher should be enthusiastic about her own students. So, that is something which, that is a quality which is needed in a teacher. Apart from that, the teacher should be able to become a leader of the class. That means if the teacher has to monitor the class of 30 or 35 or even 10, that she or he can monitor the class only if she is capable of becoming a leader. What are the qualities of the leader? Qualities of the leader, first of all, it means the leader should be knowing more than the people who are following him. Secondly, another important aspect is the leadership also means that the teacher should be able to understand the psychology of the students well and accordingly provide them what they want and take them on a journey of a knowledge, journey of an education. But they should be thinking that they are going on their own journey. If the students feel interested in the education, only then we would say that the teacher has come down to become a good leader and has provided a good leadership in the classes. Apart from that, the teacher should be very good organizer. What does organizer means? Being a good organizer means the teacher should be able to organize not just her pedagogy, her topics, her subjects accordingly, but also organize the students' behavior also. Just to give you a small example, it is generally seen that the students feel comparatively very slow or lazy during the afternoon, particularly after the lunch hour. So, what kind of pedagogy should be taken up? The students can be taken to the labs, they can be made to do things. If they are doing things, they would be enjoying it. And the subjects which are heavier or which are not so much of interest to the student, they can be taken in the morning hour. Apart from that, another important quality of the teacher is respectfulness. Respectfulness means that teacher should be respectful towards the others. If the teacher is respectful towards her own colleagues, the teacher is respectful towards students, only then she can have the respect of the student. And another important quality is multitasking. Multitasking, the teacher has to do lot of tasks on her own. In her classroom, she has to be a partner of the student, she has to lead the student, she has to coordinate the student, she has to, and pedagogically also, she has to take the students to the laboratory and work with them, she has to lecture the students. She has to organize the students or the classroom in such a manner that they can study on their own. She has to facilitate the student by providing them homework, by assessing those homework, and she has to also do the assessment of the students. So, of course, the teacher has to be a multitasker. And another important valuable asset of the teacher is that she should be team worker. What does team worker means? Team worker means the teacher should be able to work in a team. Why does a teacher need to work in a team? Because this is a time when the student should be able to not just study particular discipline but interdiscipline also. If the student has to study interdiscipline, that means the student would be coming in contact with the different teachers, and if the different teachers or different experts can come together as to provide knowledge and information on the same topic from their own perspective, then naturally student will be gathering more information. So teacher has to be a team worker as well as be able to organize the team also. And of course, one of the important aspect of that being a teacher is that the teacher has to be very good communicator. Along with being a good communicator, the teacher should be very good at interpersonal skills. If the teacher is good at interpersonal skills, only then the students can be expected to be good at interpersonal skills. Another important aspect which is generally asked from a teacher is the teacher should be creative. If the teacher is creative and the teacher is capable of evaluating on her own, that means the teacher should be studying herself, should be focused in her own learning also. So if the teacher is self evaluating, her teacher is creative and teacher is able to adapt as far as the new environment is concerned or the new pedagogy is concerned, only then the teacher would be able to provide some benefits to the students. And if she is providing some benefits to the student, that means the teacher is benefiting herself or himself as well. Another important aspect which is usually required in a teacher, just as in the medical professions we require emotional intelligence and empathy, same kind of quality is required in the teacher also. Teacher also need to be a very patient person, and apart from that the teacher should be empathetic, because if the teacher is not empathetic, then the student wouldn't be able to feel with her, wouldn't be able to be at comfort in her classroom, and the student would feel that they are not getting the kind of respect which they expect. So when it comes to empathy, it's not sympathy friends, it is empathy. Empathy means that the teacher should be able to empathize with the student's situation, and if teacher is able to empathize, only then he or she can provide them the good guidance as well as good help. So and the empathy will come only with the fact that the teacher has high level of emotional intelligence. Along with that, of course, the teacher need to be committed, because usually it is seen that the people who have entered the teaching, they find it very difficult. Why do they find the teaching very difficult? Because the teaching require not just the knowledge domain, it also require the EQ level to be high, the patience has to be of the high level, the teacher has to be a critical thinker. Apart from that, the teacher has to be very good at time management, and the teacher is also required to be a multidisciplinary. She should be having a good stamina, because the teacher is supposed to stand for the longer duration. If the teacher is there in the classroom, that doesn't mean the teacher can sit like any other person who does the desk work. Teacher has to be on her feet, she has to walk amongst the students, she has to interact with the student in the classroom. So she needs lot of stamina. And of course, the teacher has to be approachable. If the teacher has to be approachable, what does that mean? It means that teacher should be always having a good humor and the student would feel easy with her. If the student feel easy with the teacher, only then the teacher would be approachable to the student. And now let us try to understand how the major thinkers on education have talked about or discussed the education, particularly here we are only concerned about the Indian thinkers. To begin with, let us talk about Raja Ram Mohan Roy. In our lecture, we will be talking about Raja Ram Mohan Roy, Dayanand Saraswati, Ramakrishna Paramahansa, Vivekanand, M.K. Gandhi, Rabindranath Tagore, Jiddu Krishnamurti, B.R. Ambedkar. So these are the people who have contributed to the education, not just on the theoretical basis, but also they have also done a lot in the education system. So we shall be studying them each each one of them and trying to understand that how the education system was impacted by these thinkers, so that we also understand that where the education system exists today. So, as we understand it, if we want to understand the present, then the best way is that we unravel the history. So, by understanding these thinkers as well as their reforms, we would be able to understand the present education system, as well as we will be able to understand that where education system should be going in future. Now, to take example of Raja Ram Mohan Roy. Raja Ram Mohan Roy, he brought reforms in the field of education. In fact, he is the one who was responsible for the Hindu college or the city college or the Vedanta college. He was the one who established English schools that began in the Calcutta, and after that all the kind of education which was introduced in the Bengal, that spread throughout the India also. So, he is usually termed as a person who was in favor of modern India. He was not against English as such. He understood that the English education system is not bad, but it has to come in a way, it should be absorbed in the society after having reformed in such a manner that it suits the Indian society. So, Raja Ram Mohan Roy, who is basically known for being a very social, being a social religious reformer, because he was the one who gave the Brahmo Samaj movement. And as we know that the Brahmo Samaj movement was responsible for the abolition of social evils like sati system. He was the one who advocated the education of women also, and he was the one who popularized the study of English, modern medicine, technology and science. That is why he was referred as Raja by the Mughal emperor. Raja Ram Mohan Roy was an Indian religious, social and educational reformer. He was a humanitarian by nature, and as we have studied that he believed in Hinduism, but he challenged traditional Hindu culture. As we know that he was against the sati pratha, he was also against the child marriage as well as. And he, along with the Dwarkanath Tagore and other prominent Bengalis of the early 19th century, founded Brahmo Samaj in 1828. As far as the Brahmo Samaj is concerned, we know it was influential and it influenced Indian social religious reform movement during the Bengal Renaissance. His influence was visible in the field of politics, public administration, society, religion as well as education. And Raja Ram Mohan Roy may be called as the precursor of modern system of education in India. Now, let us try to understand that what kind of reforms were introduced by Raja Ram Mohan Roy in the field of Indian education system. First of all, as we discussed, that he was a synthesizer of Eastern and Western culture, and he was one of the earliest Indian to realize that India's education system, having an education system was the greatest need, and an Indian education system should be such that it should be synthesis of Eastern and Western culture. So, he was the one who introduced English education. His ideas of Western education helped the government of Lord William Bentinck to introduce European learning in India. So, we understand that English education as such was introduced by Raja Ram Mohan Roy, and as far as the language is concerned, Raja Ram Mohan Roy understood that the English education has to be introduced, that means English language has to be introduced. He himself gave a great lead in the matter of writing books in Bengali on grammar, geography, astronomy, geometry, and is considered as the father of modern literary Bengali prose. So, from here on what we can understand, if he propagated study of subjects in English, he also promoted studying in one's own language, that is Bengali. So, he was synthesizing the education system of both East and West. As far as the literature is concerned, he contributed a lot as far as the style and standard is concerned, which facilitated the development of Bengali prose as vehicle of stories, novels as well as polemic literature. And in the case of women education, Raja Ram Mohan Roy advocated the education of women. In fact, that concept of women of education was introduced by different missionaries before also, but Raja Ram Mohan Roy, because he had the support of the English rulers, so that is why he was able to popularize it amongst the Hindus, that is the education of women. And Brahmo Samaj, as we know, did a great service in removing the popular prejudices against the education of women which were prevalent in the Hindu society. Raja Ram Mohan Roy was the chief advocate of the modern process or modern system of education system and the scientific learning. And as far as the native people was concerned, that is the Indian people was concerned, the just as the English propagated, but they did not believe it, but the Raja Ram Mohan believed that if we want to improve the native people, then the education was a tool and the English education was the tool. That is why he helped the British government to promote a liberal and enlightened system in learning. In fact, in the new system of education, he introduced the subjects of practical use like mathematics, philosophy, chemistry, anatomy with other useful sciences. As he promoted the study of Sanskrit, Persian and Arabic languages also. Beside that, he himself studied English, Greek and Hebrew. He wrote books in different languages like Hindi, Bengali, Persian, English, and he also kept on learning himself throughout his life. He translated ancient Indian works on religion and philosophy into Bengali. So, from here on what we understand is that this being one of the earliest educator, he promoted education system which was introduced by the Britishers in India, and he utilized that education system as to promote and improve the Indian society, because he was the one who promoted the women education as well as he was against the Sati Pratha. So, Raja Ram Mohan Roy has to be considered as one of a very important person who played an important role in the promoting of current education system, because current education system is the system which was introduced by Britishers. Now, let us try to understand the role of Dayanand Saraswati in the education system. As we know that Dayanand Saraswati talked about equal rights for women, and he was also promoting the right of education for the women, and he was also for the reading of Indian scriptures by the woman. His commentary on the Vedas and the Vedic Sanskrit was promoted by him, and he believed that the Sanskrit should be promoted just as the Hindi should be. Among the contemporary Indian philosophers, Swami Vivekananda will be called a great rationalist. He was the one, as he said, the man without education is only a man in name. It is bound in duty of a man to get education, become virtuous, be free from malice, and preach for all the well-being of people, advancing the cause of righteousness. So, he believed that through the education, the person would be able to, the humans would be able to advance the cause of righteousness, and for that the education is a tool, and without that a person cannot do it. So, on one hand, Dayanand Saraswati was a supporter of Vedas and the other holy texts, and on the other hand, he was a rationalist, as he never accepted that without meditating upon the advantages and disadvantages of certain education system or certain pratha, we should be adopting it. So, he questioned not just the Indian practices which were against the positivity in the society, but also questioned the English education system also. His magnum opus, which was Satyarth Prakash, that is an eloquent testimony on his rationalism. If we understand from the Satyarth Prakash that Swami Dayanand believed that education imparts true and real knowledge about self-development as well as welfare of all living beings. We understand from Satyarth Prakash that reward and punishment are very important aspects in the child's education. He admitted that there is psychological importance of reward and punishment. He understood, Dayanand considered that both award and punishment should be given, and they should be part and parcel of any education system. And punishment, as he understood, should be oral rather than becoming a corporal. So, punishment should be limited to the corporal, but the reward can go to the extent, it can be practical as well. He was promoting the moral education. As far as the moral education is concerned, from the Dayanand's perspective, he understood moral education as involving the encouragement of virtues on the one hand and the discouragement of vices on the other. So, if we talk about the virtues, of course, he understood that it's a role of the parents and the teachers who play a very important role in the life of every student, and they have to properly instruct the child. First of all, it is the mother, then the teacher and the father. they have an important role as far as providing the moral education to the student is concerned. Another important aspect on which Swamiji was a very strong advocate was women education. He promoted and propagated that the women should be studied and they should be given the equal opportunities to go to the school, and just like the sons, the daughters should also be promoted by the parents, and the teacher's role should be to advocate the students. So, the teacher should not be demarking on the basis of a gender. So, he said the teacher has to be a learned fellow and having a good character and devoted to his task, and should be away from all the vices also. As far as discipline is concerned, of course, Dayanand Saraswati being a very strict disciplinarian, he believed that strong action has to be taken whosoever breaks the rule, may it be the teacher, may it be the pupil. And curriculum which was prescribed by the Dayanand Saraswati was that the curriculum which can be studied by both males and females. So, he advocated education for both male and female, and the medium of instruction or medium of education as promoted or propagated by Dayanand was the Sanskrit language or the mother tongue. He strongly pleaded the cause of Sanskrit as a medium of higher education. Friends, on this note, I take your leave, and I shall be discussing the other philosophers or other educators also. In my next lecture, I shall be talking about Ramakrishna Paramahans, I shall be talking about Vivekananda, Mahatma Gandhi, and the other people who have played a very important role in getting the education system. So, on this note, Namaskar, good afternoon, Jai Hind. Thanks for being there for me.